What is the scariest/creepiest theory you know about? Story 1. The Dark Forest Theory. This explains the Fermi Paradox, why we haven't seen any other advanced life forms despite the vastness of the universe. Other advanced life forms don't send out signals into the rest of the universe because they're worried that something more advanced and dangerous is going to find them first. There's another idea that other civilizations know there's something out there but don't send any signals because it has no reason to not wipe out the entire planet. There's a science fiction book based on this, and I think this quote explains it better than I can. The universe is a dark forest. Every civilization is an armed hunter stalking through the trees like a ghost, gently pushing aside branches that block the path and trying to tread without sound. Even breathing is done with care. The hunter has to be careful because everywhere in the forest are stealthy hunters like him. If he finds another life, another hunter, angel, or a demon, a delicate infant to a tottering old man, a fairy or demigod, there's only one thing he can do: open fire and eliminate them. I've heard this before, and I'm no expert. I have no idea what finding a different civilization would be like, but this assumption seems to really miss a lot of stuff. If we reach out for other civilizations and they were anything like us, chances are we would first make contact with some scientist who wanted to discover alien life, right? Then it would just be the nerdiest pen pals for a long time, and look, this comment could go on forever, but that's a catchy quote for a book, but I think it's more complicated than that. Story 2. The Vela Incident. September 1979, a U.S. Vela satellite detected a double flash of light over an area of the ocean between South Africa and Antarctica. The prior 41 double flashes observed by the satellite were from nuclear explosions, as this is what they were designed to observe. There also happened to be a typhoon happening in the area at the time, so it seemed like someone wanted to detonate it without being caught. The Carter administration reported that it was a natural occurrence due to a small meteorite hitting the satellite. However, many other independent sources and even other countries have reported that they did indeed find traces of fallout and radiation. Because of the geopolitical climate of the times, there's very strong evidence that it was in fact a joint nuclear weapon test carried out by South Africa and Israel, and the US scrubbed the information regarding it because they didn't want to paint their allies in Israel in a bad light for working with apartheid-era South Africa. Strangely enough, Israel and South Africa have never denied having nuclear weapons programs, nor have they ever denied a joint test being responsible for the Vela incident. Story 3. More of a philosophical idea rather than a theory, but solipsism. The idea that you are the only one that is real and that exists in this world. Everyone else and everything else is fake or is an illusion. Edit. People seem to liken solipsism with imaginary worlds. They're not the same. It's not too much a matter of imagining things, therefore manifesting a better world for yourself isn't a thing. It's more of just questioning if anything outside of yourself is even real. It doesn't mean you have the intelligence or power to consciously make everything up, it just means you can't really prove any other's consciousness except your own. You're self-aware, but not world-aware. I should also clarify I do not adhere to this idea, but have definitely at some point entertained it. Edit 2. So many people are saying they thought of this as a child. I did too. What if? What if we all thought this because we had a reason to? What if our first instincts were right, but adulthood washed it away? Nah, I'm kidding. Or am I? Story 4. I had a professor in college who taught physics, and he explained why we will likely never come across aliens. The universe is about 14 billion years old. Over the course of that time, it's likely that intelligent life besides life on Earth has existed. However, 14 billion years is an insanely long time. Other life forms have probably risen and fallen thousands of times over. Extreme dynasties with technology we can only dream of having have probably existed. Life forms could have lasted hundreds of thousands of years and still not even been close to our timeline. The chances of other intelligent life forms existing at the same time as humans in the 14 billion years the universe has hosted a possibility for life is really unlikely. Statistically, intelligent life to have formed, prospered, or even existed at the same time as humans is extremely small simply due to the absolute drop in the bucket that we are in terms of time. We may very well be completely alone in the universe. I remember hearing this theory talked about, and yeah, we have a hard time conceptualizing just how long the universe has been around, though of course the first many billions of years was just crap putting itself in place and all that, I think. I've also heard other theories that life in the universe is possibly not as unlikely as we've previously thought, and the sheer volume of potential suitable planets might be way more than we thought. Honestly, either way, I'm pretty sure I'm not seeing anything major in my lifetime, so good luck to future generations. Story 5. More of a story than a theory, but it correlates to some of these and makes me think some could be real. When I was younger, I had this little stuffed animal dog I named Rocky. One night, my younger sister and I, who all slept in the same room so we could hang out together, were messing around, and I two-handed, overhead-tossed rocks into the wall directly in front of my bed. He hit the wall, slid down behind whatever was in front of my bed, and was never seen again. I immediately went to get him, and he just wasn't anywhere. We tore the whole entire small room apart. We all saw the event occur. Over time, the room has been completely emptied out, everything in it rearranged, walls painted, everything, and no Rocky. He just completely phased out of existence. Makes me think he glitched out of the system or something. Story 6. Okay, this one is rough, so please bear with me. So, the common time travel question is, would you go back and kill baby Hitler? Or imagine if that was you. To us in the current timeline, you would be a hero that killed someone truly evil before they had a chance to corrupt or endanger anyone. But to the people of that time, you're a monster, a baby killer. They couldn't exactly explain to people, I was sent from the future to kill this baby to save hundreds of millions of lives. No one would believe him and would just assume he was some nutcase. Or maybe they're not allowed to tell anyone as per the agreement with the future government? It makes you wonder, all the people through time that have been called monsters for killing babies, what if they were just heroes from the future saving us all? They couldn't tell anyone either. Time travel is just too messy to figure out for me. Like, okay, I go kill baby Hitler, but now there's been no Hitler to encourage a scientist to make the time machine. Or without the war, my grandparents never met, and now I don't exist, but if I didn't, then blah, blah, blah. Or is it multiverse, where you make branching paths and don't affect your timeline? Or were time travelers always there, and you can't change time because, good lord, I'm gonna have a headache. Story 7. May or not be a theory, but the first thing I thought of was the feeling you get when you're on top of a building and think, what if I jumped? Or when you're driving and think, what if I just swerve into traffic? Well, it's actually got a name, l'appel du vide, French for the call of the void. I always thought of the idea of some ethereal presence calling you towards darkness. Creepy. Edit. Thank you all for the love and awards. I prefer the call of the void, but thank you all for sharing the other names for this phenomenon. I hadn't heard them all. It's comforting to know that we've all had this feeling at some point, and it doesn't necessarily mean you're self-destructive/homicidal. It's normal, just that pesky void at it again. Story 8. A lot of comments bringing up the Fermi paradox to explain the lack of evidence of extraterrestrial life when, by all accounts, we should be seeing alien life all over the universe. Here's another unsettling explanation. If you're scuba diving across a coral reef and you know that there should be fish around you but you don't see any, it's most likely that they have learned that for some reason it's important not to be seen. And since you're a newcomer to this environment, chances are it's not you they're hiding from. Edit. The number of scuba divers saying they've experienced this and then noticed a shark nearby is alarming. Okay, but imagine you're in a coral reef where there's only one bunch of coral every 1,000 miles, and also the fish are microscopic. And look, space is just so big. Like, we see models and kind of forget that, like, if Earth was the size of a marble, then Mars would be like a mile away from it or some such nonsense. I don't think comparing it to a coral reef really works. Story 9. The theory about why aliens haven't contacted or interacted with us is because they have observed our planet/society and determined that we're still too primitive and there's basically no point talking to us. You wouldn't walk into a rainforest and try to have an intellectual conversation with a monkey because they wouldn't understand what you're saying. I also like the theory that the UFOs we see could potentially be of extraterrestrial origin, and they're most likely just advanced drones going around to each planet in the galaxy, recording the data and daisy-chaining it back to a civilization that probably doesn't even exist anymore. Story 10. Cosmology can be disturbing. For instance, I recently learned of dead-end trips. There are some destinations that you shouldn't try for. It's possible to travel so far away from where you started that the expansion of the universe will exceed the speed you were traveling at. You can't return home because home is receding faster than you can travel. You can't reach your destination because it's too is receding faster than you can travel. You can no longer get anywhere, only get further away from everything. You cannot reach any destination, even if you travel forever. Story 11. Sometime in the future, if we don't disappear before, humans will probably be able to bioengineer themselves to avoid death by old age. Most probably only the richest people would get this, founding an immortal elite of dynasties that will be able to rule nations by themselves, while common people simply keep dying as always. Now, almost everyone thinks of death as something normal and inevitable as part of our nature, but then, in that hypothetical future, death will be seen as a disease which is kept away from common people by that ruling elite. I would like to think that at this point, the working class would finally rise up and eat the danged rich. Not literally, but also like maybe a little literally. Who knows how wild a future like that gets? You think a bunch of rich people who don't age are gonna stop a Mad Max army? What, with their robots? Maybe. I don't know. Story 12. The theory that was all quanta, immortals, and when someone dies in our reality for them, they just keep on going in a reality where they didn't. This is pretty cliche, but the theory that your whole known life you've been in a coma and have imagined everything. Your family isn't really your family, and everyone and everything doesn't actually exist. Then when you wake up, you'll have to live through life all over again with connections you've made to fake people. Story 13. Some people have some strange NDES, near-death experiences. Going through websites cataloging them can be a trip. I'm willing to attribute some of them to brain damage and some as legit, though I'll never be able to tell which is which. Deathbed visions give me a warmer sense of security. I can't imagine how peaceful it must be to die and see your deceased loved ones there to ensure you make it safely to the other side. Story 14, that the universe is infinite and there could be billions of other living organisms that all know about us and have significantly better technology and could wipe us out at any moment, but choose to leave us because they know that we don't know about them. Kinda like some indigenous tribes that live secluded and don't know that we are this civilized and technologically advanced. Story 15. Philosophical zombies. Theory that a good portion of the human race lack conscious experience. If you've ever dissociated or done something and don't recall, driven home but have no recollection, your brain acting on autopilot, that's what they are like. They do everything required to be human, they ape emotion, go through life, they just lack sentience. I honestly kind of hate this sort of thinking because it is just isolating more and more people in a time when we really should be trying to come together. We like to view others as less than human so we don't have to feel bad for them or concern ourselves with them. Let me tell you, pick out any one random person and get to know them and they'll probably surprise you. I'm not saying you should be friends with everyone, but I am saying they are infinitely more complicated than the brief glimpse you get of them. Story 16. The one that bugs me was the one about the guy who was last seen in an airport. There's a video of him just wigging the frick out and running away at full speed. They linked the surveillance footage and you can see him run all the way off the premises. He was never seen again. There's lots of theories about what happened. None I want to look too far into. Story 17. I saw a video about the theory of gray goop, in which one day we invent micro-robots used to break down waste but could somehow evolve to consume all carbon-based organic matter. This would eventually lead to them consuming all life on Earth. I was mildly freaked out by the idea of it. It'd be the most horrifying means of extinction. Story 18. There's a theory which states that if ever anyone discovers exactly what the universe is for and why it is here, it will instantly disappear and be replaced by something even more bizarre and inexplicable. There is another theory which states that this has already happened. Douglas Adams. The theory that scented candles started getting poor reviews at the same time COVID hit the US makes you wonder how many people mild COVID have before we even knew about it, pairing the lack of taste and/or smell as one of the main symptoms associated with mild COVID cases. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.